What is going on, everybody? It is Saturday. It is that time of the week where we get to talk with some really cool people from other ecosystems. We absolutely love doing that. That's what this whole project is about, is connecting chains and connecting communities. And that's what we're going to do today. Let's get this intro out of the way, you guys, so we can get down to business. For those who don't know, THORChain is the world's leading Bitcoin DEX. You can swap Bitcoin with 10 different blockchains across 40 different pools without using bridges or wrap tokens. Check it out at swap.thorchain.org, swap.thorchain.org. Anyone in the world can use THORChain. There is no account to open, no KYC is required. THORChain has two tokens, Rune and TCY. The fees for swapping on THORChain are paid in Rune, and that's where the yield comes from. The fees are deducted from swaps, so you don't need to own Rune to trade on THORChain. 10% of the protocol's revenue goes to TCY token holders. Remember to stake your TCY tokens in order to start collecting this yield. There are no inflationary block rewards, therefore the yield is real money paid by real users. Rune is also deflationary as 5% of the revenue is burned. THORChain is a full layer 1 with the ability to create smart contracts on it, similar to Ethereum. This app layer is being developed by Ruggira. If you need help with THORChain in general, join the THORChain community Discord and Telegram group. Links for those are on thorchain.org, thorchain.org. Please follow THORChain on Facebook and Instagram, you guys. Also, THORChain Contact on TikTok. We need 1,000 followers to live stream on those platforms. Let's get it done so we can put this show on there as well. And always remember, guys, this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute financial investment or legal advice. And with that out of the way, you guys, it is time. My name is Denny. I go by Patriot Sound as well. I do the RuneBot account on X. Been educating with THORChain for half a decade now. I love it. I'm addicted to it. I will never stop. Go ahead and kick it to my main man, Kenton, if he's got an update for us, and then we will get this party started. How you doing, Kenton?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Denny. I was trying to think update from Thursday. Not much different. The Masari dashboard went live on Monday. And it's public. Anyone can look at it. Anyone can use it, share it, play with it. If you guys, if you find a mistake or something like that, please let me know. If there's a chart or something in there you think should be added, let me know. It's ours to do what we want with, basically. And so that went live on Monday. I'm still working with them to finish getting THORChain integrated in the rest of their platform, so we're showing up in search results. I got a party link, an RSVP link going for Bitcoin Vegas. So if anyone's going to be in Las Vegas for the Bitcoin conference, you want to come to a meetup, meet us in person, meet some of your fellow THORChads. I picked Sunday at 7 p.m. and I figured Sunday is probably the best chance. People have not much going on. When the conference starts on Monday and Tuesday, maybe people are busy, go do stuff, whatever. So I thought Sunday we'd have a better turnout. And I don't know where we're going to do this because I have no idea how many people are coming. So I need to get a head count before I can try and find a venue to do this. So if you think you're going to go, if you think you're going to be there, please RSVP. Then once we get a bit closer, I have a decent enough head count, I'll start looking for a spot. If it's going to be a bigger group, like say over 20 or 30 people, then it'll probably be off the strip somewhere, find somewhere relatively cheap. And it's not just for THORChads. If you have friends or someone want to introduce to THORChain, absolutely bring them along, right? This is the point. Well, it's 2 points. One is for us to get together, have some fun, kind of raise morale. And then hopefully everyone all the THORChads are all pumped and jacked. We go to the conference the next day, tell everyone about THORChain. And then and also too, yeah, if you know anybody who's maybe THORChain curious, bring them along so we can push them over the edge. So everyone's welcome, everyone's invited. And I got a new link. Denny, did you see it? So that's one thing.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
I think this one's better than the last one.
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
need to give my phone number on this one, so
no,
perfect.
no phone number. No, it does ask for your name. You can
Put whatever you
make
want.
one up. Yeah, yeah. Use your just and that's it. So should we? Just trying to think here. If I can post it in the text. Oh, sorry, in the chat. Um, here's the link, you guys.
And Zano, you guys are welcome. Are you guys? If you guys, I know you're Zano, but if you're there, you're welcome as well. Everyone's welcome to hang out with us. So that's how it is.
So
Love it. I see it there.
Sotamax. I did not think of a poll. I'm just kind of just like I kind of just got to pick something and go with it. The
He
other thing
might
is
be
my
right
schedule
though,
too. Uh,
because I'm sorry to interrupt you, Kenton. Because
yeah.
Monday, that's where like you only go to the Bitcoin conference on that day. That's more exclusive. And it's a lot more expensive. So I'm thinking people might actually show up Monday with no intention to go to the Bitcoin conference on the first day, but just to get there, right? And then Monday, like, because they just get their hotel and they just wait for the next 2 days and they go to that because it's like what $5,000 or something for the first day. So maybe Monday is actually the correct day.
Um. Okay. All right. Feedback received. How about this? Why don't I put it uh in the I have to pick a day for the invite, right? So I'll leave it as Sunday, but I'll put it in the description. Um, when you RSVP, tell me what day you can do, and then um, and then we can kind of just we'll see. We'll get a tally of what day is best for everybody. Um, okay, Soda Max, I see it. He agrees with Denny. Okay, all right, fair enough. So um, I'll ask everybody to tell me which day they can do. Sunday, Monday, just Sunday or Monday, or I don't want to
Yeah,
give like
Sunday
if
and
we do
Monday.
three
Sunday or Monday would be
days,
good.
then we're gonna get split between all 3 days. I'd
Yeah,
rather just one or the other.
yeah,
Uh,
Sunday or Monday would be
Sunday
my
or Monday. Okay.
yes.
So to Max, you cool with that? Sunday or Monday? That's the only two choices I'm gonna give ask people. What do you think? Can you text us? And
I think
Zano
he's
guys, I don't know
down.
if you can see. If you click on chat on the right, you can see the public chat. Um,
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he'd be down with that.
come on, Soda Max. I gotta hear from this. I gotta hear from the peanut gallery. I'll just do Sunday or Monday. Is that cool?
Yes.
All right. Okay. He's not saying anything.
I'm
Okay.
gonna I'm gonna make an executive call. Say yes, it's
All right.
cool.
All right. Um, are you a Karen? Are you being a Karen soda? Um, okay. So I'll do that. I'll change that then. Sunday or Monday. Um, that's all I got for you guys. Um,
Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect, man. All
So
right. Well, go ahead, Kenton. I'm sorry.
I'm excited to chat with Zano. You guys, we had the guy Quentin and Gonzalez came on a little bit earlier, and Denny's like asking him. He's already in it. He's already asking him all the questions that we want to ask and hear answers to. So
I can't help it.
let's jump right into this. Guys, if you can give us just a quick intro about yourselves and Zano, and then we can get more into the weeds.
Sure. Yes. And good to be here, guys. Thank you for having us on your show. My name is Quinten. I'm the head of marketing and growth at the Zano project for, I believe, 5 years and counting now. Still very much as excited as I was 5 years ago, maybe even more excited to bring the word out about Zano because it's clearly a really cool project. So Zano has its own blockchain, and basically everything is private by default at the protocol level. The cool thing is Zano is super versatile, so we have our own DEX via ionic swaps, which are like atomic swaps. We have Zano aliases, which are like on-chain usernames, kind of like NFTs, like how NFTs work. And our flagship feature are confidential assets. So anyone, no matter who you are, where you're at, can create their own privacy tokens on top of the Zano blockchain. And this is a really interesting feature because this can be used for all kinds of purposes, like privacy stablecoins, making your Bitcoin and Ethereum private, but also private NFTs, you name it, basically anything that needs privacy, that would benefit from privacy, you can tokenize on the Zano blockchain. And on top of that, we have a hybrid consensus. We're going full proof of stake soon. We can get into that later, which is also really interesting, makes us blazing fast compared to the OG privacy by default projects. Yeah, that's Zano in a nutshell. There's much more to talk about, but let's save that for later.
Perfect.
Hey guys, I'm Gonzalo.
Go for it.
I'm the head of community at Zano, and yeah, really glad to be here. I I really like THORChain. I think it respects the main ethos of cryptocurrency, which is to be permissionless. Bitcoin was permissionless, it didn't discriminate any user, and to me, that's the entire point of crypto. I got into crypto because I was denied a bank account, and so crypto was my lifeline at the time. And to me, that's 100% the requirements I ask for any crypto project to be permissionless, Zano is, and THORChain is. So I think it's a perfect match.
So Gonzalo, can I ask you, when you said you were denied a bank account, this had nothing to do with crypto. This is based on where you live,
Yes,
your
I'm Argentinian.
passport. Really? Wow. So that's that. Well,
I was-
one, I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's terrible.
More specifically, I was denied a US dollar bank account, which forced me to stay on Argentinian pesos, which were, devaluing like 200% a year. So
So I'm curious, like, what, like, I hear. I mean, you're literally the reason why crypto was invented, right? So like, I'm wondering if we can actually explore that a little bit more. Like, do you have other friends, family who've done the same? Like, they've had the same experience as you, and they've had to move to crypto. Like, what's it like
yes,
in Argentina?
it's special. Like, it's a requirement. For example, if you work for abroad. So in order to get money into it, this is no longer the case, by the way, because of Mila and stuff. But back then, in order to get money into the country, the only way was crypto, basically. Either crypto or lose like 70% of the money on the way. So it was useless. So anyone working remote in Argentina was being paid on crypto, or at least like using some company that was dealing crypto, and then that company gave them fiat. But crypto was like the main bridge. Um, so
Wow,
to me,
cool.
that's absolutely necessary. Like if I see any project that discriminates people based on, for example, their nationality, to me that's a no-go.
Yeah, yeah. So it's better now with Melee. Like, it's you don't have those
Yes,
issues. And
there's still a long way to go, but at the very least, banks are no longer useless. So,
yeah, yeah.
but
Cool,
obviously,
cool.
I'm still in crypto because I learned that even things can change at any moment, and with crypto, I can just take my money anywhere, and it's actually my money.
Yeah. Well, so I understand that driving you into crypto, out of necessity. What got you into a privacy coin? So there's
Well,
lots of other tokens out there, right? Why Zano? Why privacy?
Well, over time, I realized that. So first, I got into regular stable coins. Then I learned that those could be frozen. So I moved to decentralized assets. And then, as just working on the crypto space, I realized that, for example, my employer could see my transactions or what I do with, like, for example, any airdrop tokens. And I was not really comfortable with that. I also, in Argentina, there are many stuff that you can buy with crypto. So I realized that whenever I buy something, like for example, a laptop, I can just look into the vendor's account and see how much balance they have. And so they can do the same with me. And to me, that didn't make any sense. And I felt very unsafe. So that's why I got into, at that time, Monero. And I realized that in order for something to be truly permissionless, it needs to be private as well. So that's what got me to Monero. And then I got into Zano because it basically took Monero's tech. Well, there's a longer story there, but it's basically Monero's tech, but it goes beyond peer-to-peer digital cash. And you can do tokens, you can do dApps, you can do DEXs. So have a lot of respect for both projects, and I'm super glad to be working on Zano here, because to me this is the kind of tech that matters to me and to so many people in the world.
Absolutely. So is Zano like maybe let's get into Zano then. Is it like a fork of Monero? Like how is it completely brand
So
new and separate and distinct from Monero?
so actually, our co-founder was the lead developer of CryptoNote. He worked along with Nicolas van Saberhagen. So they created CryptoNote, and then Monero took the CryptoNote code base and forked, and it's Monero now. But our co-founder kept working on CryptoNote and kept iterating. He launched Bullberry, which later became Zano. And so we share a lot of technologies because we share like this point in history, but we are of course like 10 years apart. So it's a different code base by now. But if you go into Monero source code, you'll actually find the name of our co-founder in there.
Cool. Awesome. So how long you said 10 years apart. So how long has Zano been around then?
Zano itself has been around since 2019, but the code base, it's been around 2013.
Danielle, did you want to jump in? I know you're banging them with questions before we started.
Well,
So I
yeah.
thought
Well,
maybe
here's the thing, you guys. To give a little history here, I've been talking. I believe it's you, Gonzalo, on X Spaces, right? You're the one I've been talking to on Joel's space, and I have to just say these guys share our ethos to a T. And you just heard it for himself. I mean, what was the impetus for him coming into crypto as one of necessity? And that's what THORChain is. It is a one of necessity, a free, permissionless, decentralized world. We remove from the state the ability to affect fiat currency, which hurts so many people. The individual in this live stream is a living example of that, right? It's like a force function. Like he has to do this. He has to do this not only for his own well-being, but for the rest of the world as well. So I want one thing clear before we really get into the weeds of Zano is that the Zano people are our people. And it's like I always say, guys, a lot of people, I think it's Paul from Edge Wallet says, we're all trying to solve the same problem. We're all going to meet in the middle. I think this is a perfect example of that. So shout out to you, buddy. I'm really glad that you're on the show. I've talked to you a lot, and you're just a solid individual. You can't fake being solid. It eventually over enough time that you lose that genuine nature if you're being fake. So, and I'm good at smelling that out. I don't get that at all with you. So I'm going to actually come to Quentin here. So Quentin, basically, Zano privacy tech, right? Like, what do you foresee it being on? Like, if we could add it to THORChain, right? Because see, you're right, Kenton. I should not ask questions beforehand because now I get confused. Like, okay, so Zano has an update it's going to be making in 2 months, right? Roughly or so. Maybe talk about that, Quentin. I'm going to give you the floor and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Yes. So one of the major problems that many privacy UTXO blockchains have is that it's super hard to get adoption because it's super hard usually to integrate these blockchains. I think you guys have had your own experience with that when it comes to Monero. I'm not sure where that integration is at, by the way. I just know that at some point it was being talked about. But, these integrations are, hard to realize, very resource heavy. And simply, for example, with Zano, it's kind of impossible or nearly impossible for something like THORChain to support us because of the privacy by default, right? You have no balances to work with, which is like a requirement for something like THORChain. That really holds adoption for privacy blockchains back, and also for Zano. So we've been thinking, to come up with a solution for that. And we don't want to have optional privacy for another number of reasons we can get into later. But so Zano is entirely private by default, but we are going to introduce with Hard Fork 6, which is happening probably early May, maybe end of April, the gateway addresses. And I'm actually in the middle of writing a huge article on it. Will be released in a couple days, so everyone can read up on this and get informed. But basically, it's a new type of Zano address that is, instead of the regular Zano addresses, which are UTXO based and completely private. These gateway addresses are account based, so basically they enjoy instant sync, and they are also transparent, so there are balances to work with for services. So these gateway addresses are not meant for regular users, but specifically made with the services in mind, right? This is super exciting because the gateway address itself sounds a bit boring to me, but the things that could come from this are very exciting because it basically closes the gap between adoption and being private by default, right? So then when we have this live, in theory, THORChain could support Zano, and since Zano has confidential assets, it could also support its confidential assets like private Bitcoin, private ETH, private Solana, private stable coins like Freedom Dollar, private DAI, you name it. And it would be, of course, very interesting to swap those in a completely decentralized way, cross-chain via THORChain. So that is what the gateway addresses can realize for us in practice. And we could also get on a lot of other services would also benefit from this, right? So, yeah, that's in short what the gateway addresses will do for us.
Can I jump in, Danny? Can I ask a question?
Go for it, brother.
I know you guys expressed interest in having Zano and THORChain in the past before your gateway address. Do you guys think it's possible then to have Zano added without the gateway address? I mean, I understand why the gateway address should make it much easier, but do you think it's possible to add Zano without? And if so, and if you did do it that way, would that maybe help us, be able to use a lot of that work to get Monero added as well? I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I think for that to happen, Monero should be added first. Because I know people working on this. I don't know if you know Luke Parker.
I know the
Yes.
name.
Sarai. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Luke Parker is doing like some heavy lifting to get Monero into Sarai, and he's like developing new cryptography even. It's like very hard stuff, and he's working on it for years. But if his works end up coming through, then I think that work could be used to integrate Monero and then perhaps Zano without the gateway addresses, if that were needed.
Okay. So so better to use your gateway addresses to do this.
Yes, it's much simpler.
Guys, as far as I'm concerned, if I was dictator of THORChain, I'd be like, done, let's do it. I want all the chains, get everybody on there, especially a community like you guys are engaged, like you want to be on there. I think this is exactly these are the types of tokens of blockchains we should prioritize. People that actually want to be on THORChain. So I'd love to see you guys get on. Hopefully we can make it happen. I'm in touch with Star Squid. I can run it by him and say, hey, these Zano guys are switched on. They want to get involved. They want to help. And maybe we can pick up the conversation again because I'm a huge fan. Don't never take no for an answer, you guys. Just keep asking until you get the answer you want. So maybe we didn't have the people or the time or whatever to do Zano in the past. Maybe we do now. So I'd love to try and put you guys in touch and see if there's something that can be done.
Yes, and can I add on to that? So a lot of so to add on THORChain, right? THORChain typically, now it's not the case with Solana and maybe some other chains, but we run the layer 1 daemon, right? Like a real Zano, basically, would be, as you know. And so something node operators may be interested in is like, what is the computational burden of a Zano daemon? Maybe you could break that. Either one of you can take that. Like, is it like really heavy, like Solana? Can you give us a sense of what that'd be like?
No way near Solana. I
Okay.
run it on a mini PC with like a Core i3 and 8 gigabytes of RAM. But I think you can do it with way less. I'm seeing people running on Raspberry Pi, although that might be a stretch. But it's yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like it's that heavy. So that's one of the main considerations, right? If you add an asset, there is a cost for the node operators to run the infrastructure, right?
Yes.
And so the fees generated by an asset should hopefully, I mean, we don't necessarily expect it on day one, but should hopefully far exceed the cost to run it, right? We want a lot of swap volume. So, okay, that's one box checked right there. We do have some questions from the audience here. So let's just get right into it, okay? So the one question is, can they elaborate on their coin to privacy vault? Multisig, TSS, question mark? Kick that to either one of you want to take it.
Quinton, want to take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I entirely get the question. So this is about bridging assets to Zano and how that works.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it Sotamax? Maybe I misunderstood. I thought maybe he was asking how would the Zano pool work on THORChain.
Maybe clarify your question, Soda. We'll come back to it. We do have more questions. Okay, we'll do Soda again. So, well, this is assuming a lot, okay, but well, that's not a question. I'm sorry. I apologize, guys.
Well, it is
What's
kind
the
of a
block
question.
time?
No, let's go back to the.
Okay, sure. Absolutely.
If
Sorry about
Zano,
that.
if we did add a pool, would your community, your treasury, whatever, be willing to add liquidity to seed it?
Absolutely. Hard yes.
There you go.
Love
That's beautiful. That's the second. Denny was right. The first question is what's the cost to the nodes to run to support the Zano infrastructure, and the second was where's the liquidity actually coming from? And if you guys are going to provide it, I mean that's huge. Like
these things are very important for us as an ecosystem, right? You can see that still the shift happening towards more government overreach and more tight restrictions with KYC and stuff on centralized exchanges. So this is also one of the reasons why we introduce gateway addresses, because we want to get onto all these kinds of DEXs, because we think that is the solution, and it will become more and more important over the years to come.
Well
beautiful.
said.
Yeah.
Well said. Awesome. Okay, let's go to Coke's question. Oh, I'm sorry, Kent, did you have something else before?
Well, I was going to say, yeah, just so with these, I was just going to ask with the gateway addresses. So how does, so if I want to maintain my privacy, and I have Bitcoin, and I come to THORChain, swap my Bitcoin for some Zano, but it's going through this gateway address. Now, is my Zano that I just bought, is this like somehow doxed? Is it still public? Do I need to go swap it into Zano again, like into a new address to now start getting my privacy? How would that work?
No. So, we'll see how the implementation goes. But the idea of gateway addresses is that there's not even a wallet from the end user perspective. There's not even a wallet for gateway addresses. So it's just a hub. And when you withdraw from THORChain, in this case, it will go to your regular Zano address, and this Zano address is private by default, hidden amount, hidden sender, hidden receiver. So the whole point is that you don't need to do an extra step in order to be private.
Cool.
Yeah, and basically the once a user interacts with a gateway address, it's still protected, right? Because Zano makes use of stealth addresses and ring signatures. So basically, let's say you do a transaction to a gateway address, then you can see as an outsider like what was the asset type that was deposited into the gateway address, the amount, but you cannot see where it came from, so the address. And it also works this way when you send it out. So when a transaction happens from a gateway address to a Zano address, it also leads to a dead end, because everything with the regular Zano addresses is completely hidden and private by default.
And
Could you
also worth
Okay.
noting, in your example, you say someone swapping Bitcoin to Zano because they want privacy. They can also swap their Bitcoin to, for example, BTCX, which is private Bitcoin on Zano. So if they still wish to keep, for example, Bitcoin price exposure, but they want ring signatures, sale addresses, confidential amounts, they can do that.
Well,
Can we
this and
break- Go ahead, Kenton.
let's go ahead, Denny. But this dovetails in the Sotamax question. Go ahead, Denny.
Well, how does that work? So, okay, like on Ethereum, right? Let's just use the Ethereum example. We have ETH, obviously, and then we have the ERC20s. Is it sort of like that, where these assets, they obviously live on Zano blockchain, and is it a heavy lift to add those two? You see, you know what I mean? Or can you break that down a little bit? This is something I know nothing about.
No, so yeah, like in concept, it's similar to ERC20. It's not ERC20. It's a different protocol. But yes, like in theory, if any service that integrates Zano will also support confidential assets on Zano.
A good example
So
is the wallets. Like Zano is supported by Edge Wallet, by Cake Wallet, Bitcoin.com Wallet, soon Unstoppable Wallet. And once they integrated the Zano blockchain, they can essentially support any asset that lives on Zano very easily.
gotcha. Okay, so to crystal clear, if we have a Zano rune pool on THORChain, it would not be that much of a lift, or hardly any lift at all, to have a private Bitcoin BTCX. I think you said rune pool, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
Yes.
Sounds cool to me. Okay, Kenton, go ahead.
That's what. So Sotamax was asking, how do you secure the assets on Zano?
Yeah. So,
Is it a multi-sig, a bridge? Yeah.
so the bridge is handled by another project, which is called Bridgeless. And yes, they use TSS. So the whole point there is that there is no custodian because there's no private key of the wallet holding the collateral, in this case, Bitcoin. Instead, it's distributed among all node operators on Bridgeless. So at no point there is a custodian. It's
Would you, in theory, could you use THORChain one day to secure the Bitcoin that's on Zano?
I mean, that's up to Bridgeless. But it sounds to me like yes, because they both use TSS. I know it's a similar architecture.
Interesting.
But wouldn't in theory THORChain be competing with Bridgeless? Like,
Sure.
how,
Why not?
how are we?
You guys get
how do-
if you guys
Yes,
get
honest
participating
answer,
to it,
yes.
then we're down. We're down. The more options,
how
the
does
better.
how does Bridgeless make money? Like, what incentivizes them, to be honest?
So they take a fee on the bridge.
Like a one-time fee, or is it
But that's
ongoing?
but the fee is on confidential layer side, right, Gonzalo? Or am I
No,
mistaken here? Oh, there's a double fee. Okay.
no, not sure actually. Well, but the operators receive fees from the bridge itself. So whenever you bridge Bitcoin onto Zano, a small percentage of that is taken. But once you are on Zano, then no more fees, of course.
It's a one-time, it's upfront
Yeah,
fee.
yeah, the one
Right
time
now,
for bridging and unbridging.
yes. So you pay when you bridge, you pay the network fee of the network where you're bridging from. Of course, that is unavoidable, and there are also bridge fees included. And then again, because the bridge basically infrastructure is maintained by Bridgeless, but then you have front end like apps for users to interact with. Like right now, there is Edge Wallet that facilitates direct BTC to BTCX swaps through Edge Wallet via the Bridges API, and then you have confidential layer, and that's called app.confidentiallayer.com. And basically, it's like a bridge interface, and it enables users to very easily swap their or like bridge their Bitcoin to Zano, Ethereum to Zano, but also like Zano is not the only like the only chain that is like plugged into this, right? So also from Ethereum to Bitcoin or the other ways around. And I believe confidential layer has a 0.3% fee on top of all bridging. And I think you can set it manually. I think Edge has a different fee, but I'm not sure exactly what it's set to.
So I've always, for me, the way I've always looked at THORChain and envisioned it in like the big picture, the long run, is being the world's biggest, most secure custodian. That, right now we've got 100 nodes, so it's a giant, 67 of 100, vault. If we get to 300 nodes one day, that'll be a 200 of 300, right? And so I've always viewed it as like this really secure custodian, and in theory, it should be able to, replace Bridgeless for you guys and do this for you for projects like Zano, right? So it'd be interesting because
That'd be
there's all
interesting.
this. I keep thinking like we're gonna get rid of the hard cap and THORChain. I feel like that's probably gonna happen one day. And so we would like to secure as many assets as we could in theory. So Yeah, that's
This is
something.
this is interesting. I'm trying to think how this would work, because if you have the assets like secured in a vault, right? But then you have a pool on THORChain that people swap in and out of, like BTCX, for example. And then but the Bitcoin is also in a vault. And so that vault would be pretty busy, right? Because you would constantly be arbitraging the total amount in the pool against the vault itself in order to maintain a one-to-one peg. And so I'm just trying to think of the arbitrage behaviorism there. That's really interesting. And I'm curious, right?
Well, as long as it's one Bitcoin being held and one Bitcoin
In the pool.
on Zano, yeah, but it's Bitcoin to Bitcoin, right? So
Right.
but the prices fluctuate of Bitcoin, that doesn't matter, right? It's only if users are going in and out of Bitcoin, right?
Right. But if we're securing the pool, we secure the pool too, right? Like, so it's like this is a wrapped exogenous asset, right? And the equity in that pool is tied to the vault in THORChain, right? It's because WBTC on THORChain, that's by a third party. We're not securing the WBTC, that's BitGo, right?
Yeah, but
So
you got to think about this like trade assets or secured assets. They're not held in the
right.
pools, right? They're held outside the pool.
Right. But yeah, that's true. That's true. Yes, you're right. That's true.
Right. So this
It'd
would
just be
be
on the
like
base layer. It would be on the base layers of the app layer, if that makes right. Yes.
well, this would be like a secured asset, or
Right.
probably.
Okay.
So there's no with secured assets. There's no
Yeah.
arbing them, balancing them, or anything like that. It's just Bitcoin sitting on THORChain, held by THORChain nodes.
Love to see this chat
So
happen. I mean, we were only asking for being able to swap
Well, we
Zano,
don't
but
mess
if you
around
guys
here.
are down for it, then sure.
well, it's this is the point of talking, right? And brainstorming, coming with ideas. Like I don't know, maybe right. We'll bring this up to Chad and he'll tell us we're all stupid. You guys, that won't work or something, right? And so
Yeah.
No, like to me, from
uh,
what you're saying, it makes total sense to me. It's just
yeah.
like down to if you guys want to secure assets on Zano, if you think it makes sense, then sure. I mean, that's
Because we're all decentralized maxis, right? So is Bridgeless, is that a centralized
no,
platform?
no.
They're decentralized?
Yeah, they're decentralized as well. They use DSS. All decisions go through the validators. No one holds custody of the assets.
How many
You can
nodes do they have?
you can go to bridgeless.com if you're interested in that.
Yeah, I am interested because like I feel like this is something THORChain should be competing on. It's bridgeless dot what is it?
Com.com.
Okay.
Right,
Okay,
because
cool.
that's a middleman, as Kenton says, right? That's an intermediary. And I'm curious how they would fare. I mean, they're permissionless, as you said. I would be curious the strength of decentralization. I'm not trying to talk shade or nothing like that, but THORChain has come under enormous pressure by our refusal to bend the knee on permissionless. You guys have seen this, right? Like we don't.
Yeah,
The swap comes in, the swap
100%
executes.
respect that.
Right. And so that's a hill we will die on this hill. This has to be this way, as you boys know, right? I mean, Gonzalo, you were a living example of this. And so, this is why, like, we do a talk, we get right to the meat potatoes, you know what I mean? And it just, I for everyone to understand, like, the Zano people, they are our ethos. Okay. If you've never heard of Zano, if you've never heard of the team, I've talked to these guys, I've talked to Gonzalo numerous times on Joel's and this is why I talk to as many people as I can. Where are our boys at? Where are our family at? The people we don't know that are our brothers and sisters in this space, because we have to come together. This is just absolutely paramount.
And I don't think that's we're not blowing smoke up your ass, Gonzalo.
No.
Like it's true. Like this is especially after the Bybit stuff with THORChain, I feel pretty good that like everyone who's in THORChain right now is like full, like we believe in freedom of speech, decentralization, privacy. Like everyone is on board, specifically for people like you, Gonzalo. This is what we're doing this for, right?
I
And
mean,
it's the unbanked, the underbanked. People are going to live under a despotic government, like people in Iran. I'm seeing apparently they're all, withdrawing their Bitcoin as a way they're saving right now. I'm hearing stuff going on in Dubai. Apparently, real estate is like collapsing there, and the only way you can sell it is in crypto. Like this is what it's all for. And so it's really, really cool to have you guys be part of this.
Yeah, this is invaluable to me. I mean, lately I've been seeing more privacy projects launch with a backdoor on it. Uh, like, what are we doing here? Uh,
Yeah.
so
Well,
being able to find,
can I answer?
projects with the same ethos, it's so invaluable. Yes.
Can I answer? I can answer your question. Actually, I know why they're doing this, because everyone's bending the knee to money. And I'm not. We're all trying to make money here too. Don't get me wrong, guys. Like I believe we can do really well in THORChain and Zano. Like it's that's why part of the reason I'm doing this. But we don't have to compromise our ideals to do it, right? And a lot of these other projects are, because they want that institutional money, right? They want the big dollars, the big tickets to come in, and a lot of these institutional players, they want KYC, they want AML because they've already bent the knee. And that's how they made their money, by being compliant, and that's what they're bringing to these crypto projects. Like, hey, we'll invest 5, 10, 100 million, but you have to be compliant, right? And so they're bending the knee, putting in these back doors, adding KYC, whatever, to appease the money gods, to get right, but not realizing they're selling their soul to do it, and basically they're basically just turning themselves into TradFi, and it's like, what's the point? Why are you guys doing this? So what you guys are doing, the real permissionless, private, decentralized stuff, like that's the value add. That's actually what built this whole
Exactly.
sector. So yeah, good for you guys.
Yeah, what will happen eventually when the backdoor leaks? I mean, we're seeing all the time in like Web 2, these massive database breaches. Why do they think they're different? Like, and this is financial transactions. Like, it's so dangerous. But yeah,
Yeah, even if you think that the governments themselves that can apply to have access to this backdoor, if you think they will not have any malicious intent, the point Gonzalo makes is a really good point. Like, what if this backdoor view key ends up in the wrong hands, right? It's just a matter of time before it goes wrong. We've seen it with so many projects out there. It could decrypt all the private Bitcoin transactions then on that specific chain, and then it's not private anymore. So in my opinion, they shouldn't even be allowed to call it private Bitcoin if it's not even permissionless
yeah,
and censorship
the
resistant.
kind of privacy where you think you're private, but you're not, that's the worst. Like, because at the very least, if you're transacting on Bitcoin, then it's not private. Okay. But if you think you're private and one day suddenly you're not, that's dangerous.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally agree.
I'm going to take a step back here, because, we're talking about potential THORChain integration, but I want to make sure we give you guys due. If someone's watching this, whether live or the recording, and they want to buy Zano, they love you guys, they hear your ethos. Right now, how do they get Zano? Could maybe break that down for us, one of you?
Sure. I'd recommend everyone to go to Zano.org/exchanges. And we have basically all the exchanges that support Zano we have right there. So all the swap platforms, all the centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges, which are not a lot, by the way, at this moment, because we need the gateway addresses, of course. And for each user, like every user has their own standards, right? There are centralized exchanges that enforce KYC that support Zano. There are also centralized exchanges that do not enforce KYC for Zano. So it's up to you as the user to make your own decision what you're willing to interact with. And if we would have to recommend one, I mean Maxi has the most liquidity, but it does enforce KYC, at least for new users nowadays, and it also is involved with some sketchy stuff. So I personally would recommend to use a swap platform like maybe Exolix or one of the other ones that have a very good reputation about not freezing any assets. Someone says in Edge is pretty easy too. That's totally right. They also work with swap providers. So there are a number of ways to do it. But the cool thing about the swap providers is they basically enable you to tap into the liquidity of something like Maxi, but without having to do the KYC and the registration.
Okay, so right here, this is making my brain just super happy. You know, Kenton and Quentin. Those names are great. You guys are both marketing guys, right? I mean, guys, what is THORChain trying to do? It's trying to solve the hardest and biggest problems. This is product market fit right here. These boys have a problem. They have a problem. They have a hard time telling people how to get their frickin' asset. Right? Right? That's hard. Like you have an amazing technology. You want to go to people and say, "Hey, Zano's awesome. This is how you buy it." I give you that question, and Quentin has to struggle to answer it. He should not have to struggle, guys. Let's make this easy for them. Let's make this so easy. So let's recap, all right? The chain, it's not very computationally hard to run. Okay, Gonzalo says. Their community is willing to seed liquidity. And Quentin, let's do a third question. Quentin, would the Zano team be willing to help us build the chain client? Let's go there. How about that?
Like, to give a definitive answer, I would need to speak to the devs, of course, but I do think that we as the Zano team do see the need and the importance of such a solution, and we would be very excited to make it happen. And therefore, I also think there's a very good chance that we are willing to put resources to it as a dev work, basically.
Well, I think, when it comes to delicate, because dev resources are always scarce, right? So I think this is a little bit on us, a little bit to show that if this is something that we want to do, that we're serious on our end, that would make Zano devs, because it's our devs have things to do, their devs have things to do, right? And so I think if this community, our community, starts to show interest in Zano, I think that would go a long way, right? So, guys, I'm liking this. I'm really liking this a lot. I am so glad. Shout out to Joel from Joel
Dash.
from Dash. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I woke up early this morning. Okay, this 7 a.m. This is when this thing. So forgive me. Okay, sometimes the brain doesn't work that good in the morning. But yeah, shout out to Joel from Dash for really introducing you guys, because I did not know anything about you guys because there's so much going on, right? There's so much going on. There's so many narratives. But when you actually get to talk to people, and I've talked to you numerous times, and now we get face and face. I mean, this is like love at first sight. That's how I'm feeling. I'm extremely biased. Okay, but this is like seeing that girl from across, maybe you're at church, maybe you're at the mall, and you're just like, all right, I'm okay, this is pretty good. And she likes you too. This is a win. So this is great, guys.
And I have to, I do remember you guys, I don't know if it was either one of you, somebody from Zano reached out to me about a year ago, I think, about trying to get on THORChain. And I don't know if I came across cold or whatnot, but I think I might have tried to introduce you, but I think it basically went nowhere. And so I'm glad for you guys to stay on it and be persistent, because maybe at that time THORChain devs just wasn't part of, didn't have the bandwidth or whatever. Maybe now we do, right? And this is something that we can move forward with. So
yeah, I mean,
But a year ago,
Consistency
we
wins the race. We've had to be persistent with many of our wallets, for example, that we wanted to get integrated on. So and we see the overlap too, right? Like the things that we have in common. So I think we should definitely try to make this happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we work hard to make the pitch a lot more easier with this upgrade. So
yes,
definitely. Yeah, I wanted to ask you again about that. What'd you call it again? What kind of address? Is it
gateway
gonna be?
addresses.
Gateway address. So I'm curious. So you guys specifically made this gateway address so you can get Zano on DEXs, so it's easier.
Yes.
So I'm curious, could Monero copy this from you guys and update Monero and implement it there?
Not
Yes and no.
exactly.
I mean,
Yeah, like sure. go ahead.
from a tech perspective, I'd say they can. I mean, they could do this. But the thing with Monero is that it's super hard for their community to come to an agreement together, right? We've seen that with last year with the Cubic attacks, and then they finally given in, and now there's a part of the community that says, okay, we probably need some kind of proof of stake layer or something that looks like it on top. And then there's a huge pushback from the community that says, no, we don't want that. Proof of work, 100% proof of work for the win. It's just an example of how hard it can be for their community to come to an agreement with this. And I think with something like gateway addresses, it might be hard for them to convince their own community to do this as well. For us, it's a bit easier to do that because with Zano, it's mostly like the core team that makes these decisions. So you could say the decision making is a little bit more centralized, right? But that can work in your advantage, as in we are very, it's very easy for us to upgrade and to move around and to anticipate on things happening in the space. And that's why we can be sometimes a step ahead compared to communities with a very decentralized grassroots like community.
That
Okay,
said,
well
we have
that's a political issue. What about the technical side? Like, let's just say Monero community was all on board. Do you think technically it could be done?
I think it will be hard because even though, yes, we're both projects based on CryptoNode, it's been 10 years. I mean, the code base has changed a lot. We have a different consensus. We have confidential assets. I don't think it's easy work for them.
No, but it would be possible, right? Or what would be the technical blocker here then, if it's not possible according to you?
No. It will be possible, but I don't think it will be as straightforward as just forking this feature.
No,
You
no,
couldn't
that's
plug
true.
and play.
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't plug. They'd have to use significant engineering time to basically do what
Yes,
Zano is doing.
I think
Okay,
so.
so we're talking about Zano. Like, can we get a sense, like, how big is the Zano community? I mean, maybe that's hard to tell with a privacy coin. I understand that's kind of questions, but could you guys give us a sense of like how many people like use Zano? Your metrics, things like that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's hard, like you said, to work with the metrics, right? Because you don't have many metrics to work with. But the Zano community, I'd say it's a lot smaller than something like Monero, for example, probably also smaller than THORChain, but it does have a hardcore community that is, I'd say, decently sized. We have a lot of influencers that promote Zano not for like money reasons, we don't even pay them, but for ideology reasons, right? So we are supported by a lot of libertarians, for example. The Libertarian Party from the United States often tweets about us. Aaron Day is getting very popular nowadays. He's a big like proponent of Zano. We have Roger Ver, who is very much involved with the Zano project and has his crew on board. And all these groups and people, they basically understand, how important it is for a blockchain to be private and censorship resistant and permissionless. And they do anything they can in their power to promote it to their network, to their friends, to their family. And I think this, marketing is, because it is essentially marketing, is super important for us, because now we have created this community where there is at least several hundreds of people actively promoting and speaking about Zano everywhere they go. And when it comes to usage, we have some really cool examples like Zebek Network, which is like this, I'd say, I don't want to say no KYC, but light KYC MasterCard that you can top up with crypto. And it only gets, the KYC only gets triggered when you do something stupid, like you name yourself Mickey Mouse or something, then the KYC gets triggered, basically. But they told us that the usage of the Zano blockchain, and in particular Freedom Dollar, is amongst their highest amount of usage on the Zebek network. So because that is of course visible to them. So a lot of people top up their Zebek cards with Freedom Dollar and then able to spend it in the real world anywhere MasterCard is accepted. So that's a quick over.
What's Freedom Dollar?
That's the privacy stablecoin that is built on Zano.
Maybe break that down.
Yeah, I pretend like, well, I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. I've not heard of it. So pretend like I've never heard about it before, and same with our audience.
Yes, this is another rabbit hole, by the way, but I'd love to get into it. So, Freedom Dollar
Let's
is
do it.
a algorithmic, over-collateralized privacy stablecoin built on the Zano blockchain. The ticker is called FUSD, which is very ironic too, of course. Yeah, it's been growing quite quickly. I think it launched in May last year, so it's not even years old. But it's so much better than something like USDT for a number of reasons, right? USDT can be frozen, can be blacklisted at any moment. It's basically very much like a CBDC. It's programmable money. Freedom Dollar cannot be frozen. It's simply impossible, right? From a tech perspective. It's also entirely private by default, like Zano itself, hidden amounts, string signatures, stealth addresses. So even the asset types transacted on Zano are completely hidden. So all you see is that a transaction happened. So there's nothing to work with there for chain analysis either. So it's so much better for those two main reasons. And then the third reason is Zano has this feature named auditable wallets. So this is very useful for projects that want to basically prove what they hold, right? So this is like a transparent address on Zano, but it doesn't affect the privacy of the other addresses, basically. And then you can share this view key with others so that you can actually track and cryptographically verify the assets that are in that wallet without being able to spend it yourself. So, and Freedom Dollar uses this technology that we created, auditable wallets, to prove that their Freedom Dollars are actually fully backed, over collateralized by Zano coins. And they just reached 1 million Zano coins in their reserve, by the way, last week. So, congrats to them on that.
So is only backed by Zano coins? Is it backed by Bitcoin, Ethereum, anything else?
No,
it's not. Are you thinking about
just Zano?
Sorry.
Yes.
Just Zano. That's what's going to be going forward. It'll only be Zano.
Yes.
Are you guys familiar with Haven? They I'm sorry.
I have heard of it. Yes.
Haven is I think was like a fork of Monero, and they were basically trying to do exactly what you guys did. They're trying to create a privacy stablecoin backed by Haven, I think. And there was talk about them getting on THORChain, and it all fizzled, and I think unfortunately the project didn't work out. It sounds like you guys solved it. You guys did what they were trying to do.
Freedom Dollar.
Yeah, go ahead.
Freedom Dollar is a separate project. So they are different project that's building on Zano. So yeah. But yeah, once Zano is integrating to THORChain, if that can happen, then Freedom Dollar is just another confidential asset. So you can bring it there as well. And it's not the only private stablecoin we have on Zano. There's also DAI-X, which is just DAI from the Ethereum blockchain bridge onto Zano. So then you have all the benefits of DAI and with the privacy of Zano. So those are two examples of stablecoins you can build.
How over collateralized is it?
I think at the moment, not very much. Zano price dropped a lot lately, like many of the other cryptos. So I think the collateral ratio is like 1 to 1.15 or something, like 15% more Zano worth than the Freedom Dollar.
So what happens in the event that it gets under collateralized structurally? What happens there?
I'm not sure if that already happened. But essentially, this is where it gets a little bit vague, also in my opinion. But Freedom Dollar just says that they will buy more Zano to make sure that it's fully pegged, right?
Okay, so then where does the equity? Well, this is a separate team, full, guys out there. But where would the equity come from to buy more Zano? Right? Like, how is there like a reserves of like assets on standby ready to go into Zano? How does that work?
This is a question you'd have to ask them.
Okay,
honestly.
fair enough. Fair enough. I understand. They're trying to make algorithmic stablecoin that is private. It's a very ambitious goal, right? So, maybe that's another team we can talk to. Absolutely. So I don't want to get too sidetracked.
I
Yeah.
also see Soda commenting, having used a mint burn like Luna, very different, and that's a very good argument because Freedom Dollar doesn't work like that, right? So there's the risk of how Luna flopped and how Haven back in the day flopped. That risk doesn't exist with Freedom Dollar. So just want to point that out. And he also says FUSD is simple over collateralized, very different, but still don't like it. Only backed by Zano. Cascading price drop could be a problem. Yes, but that's pretty much the same with like, what if you would add, but that's interesting though, like if you would add, for example, private Bitcoin in the wallet, in that auditable wallet to back it, or private ETH, but still those are also volatile assets, right? But maybe less volatile than Zano. So could be a
not
nice
sure what their
discussion
plans
to
are,
have with
but
their team for sure.
yeah, not sure what their plans are, but they could, in theory, also add Bitcoin on Zano, Ethereum on Zano, Solana on Zano, and have a whole basket as well. That's something that could be done. But something that I think should be made point. If there's any decentralized stablecoin that anyone here likes, built on Ethereum or Solana, and the only thing that's missing is privacy, then you can just add privacy to it through Zano. Bridge it to Zano, and there you go. You have the best of worlds. We already did this. Bridges already did this with DAI. But if there's any other example, I would love to hear it. And let's trade it on Bridgeless or maybe through THORChain. And there you go. You have the decentralized governance in whatever blockchain you wish with the privacy of Zano.
Could you, like, if somebody's bridging Tether into Zano and creating like a privacy Tether token,
No,
can
they
happen.
can't.
like
So the
sorry,
so the bridge uses whitelisted assets specifically because of this. Because if you try to bridge USDT onto Zano,
I think it.
sorry,
sorry,
can
I
you
think
guys hear
my
me now?
internet cut out. I missed
Yeah,
your
No,
name.
no, no.
mine did too.
It's Gonzalo's connection that is cutting out here a little bit.
Yeah,
Blame Gonzalo. All
But
right.
not now.
I like that.
Is it okay now?
No, it happened to all of us, right?
Can you guys hear me
We
Yeah,
can
now?
hear
I
you
can
now,
hear you
Gonzalo.
again.
Okay.
Yeah, just start
Yes.
the
Yeah,
explanation from the beginning again.
Yeah, what I was saying is that so the bridge uses whitelisted assets specifically to avoid this, because if you try to bridge USDT onto Zano, then what could happen is that because USDT can be frozen, they could just freeze the assets on the bridge, and that would create a problem.
That's
So,
yeah.
so the idea is that you should only bridge assets that don't have a freezing function. Or maybe one day Tether is interested and they specifically allow it. That could happen. But for now, yeah, we're focusing on decentralized stablecoins.
And then you answered my question where I was going, and it brings it back to what you're saying before, like with Bitcoin, you know it's public, and so you know that going in, and that's okay, you can deal with it. Whereas if you use something that's private, and you believe it's private, and you find out later that it's not, that's actually worse. So it's the same thing with bridging. You want to bridge only decentralized tokens, so they can't be frozen, right? So you can be using them and be comfortable that they can't be frozen. Whereas if you start using a bridged asset that you think is free and private and all this kind of, permissionless, only to find out that it isn't, that's even worse. So that makes sense. Good on you guys. Yeah.
Well, that's really bullish right there. Like you answered question was, it's like an alley oop, right? He's gonna put the basketball in the hoop, right? You already answered the question that he was leading to. So there's not a more clear indication that our ideological there's no differences there, right? We understand the problems, like the first principle problems of the world. And that's why I really enjoy talking to you, because like it doesn't take long to figure it out. Like, we get right into the meat potatoes, and the questions that I ask, that Kenton asked, your answers are right on par with our expectations. So this is perfect. There's really not much thinking involved in like, defining who you guys are. You guys are the same people, just happen to work on a different blockchain, right? Trying to solve a very hard problem like THORChain's trying to solve, right? So I love this, you guys. I'm really glad that we have this live stream right now. This is just makes me so very happy. What else do you guys want to talk about, Zano? I want to make sure I give you maximum exposure. Is there anything we haven't covered yet? So there's a lot to talk about.
I saw that someone just asked us what the block time is of Zano.
Yes,
and
I was going to talk about it.
And this is an interesting topic. So right now for Zano's consensus is a hybrid proof of work, proof of stake consensus. So it basically the blockchain alternates between proof of work blocks and proof of stake blocks. And this is super secure model because it would be very hard and or at least very costly to attack the Zano blockchain, to do a 51% attack on the Zano blockchain, because in addition to the hash rate, you would need a significant portion of the total staked coins. And on Zano, staking participation is extremely high. I believe about 70% of our total supply is being staked right now. So yeah, buying those from someone on the open market, it would cost, the cost would be extremely high. However, we are planning to move to full proof of stake later this year, probably near the end of the year. Our staking has Zarknum incorporated. Zarknum is world's first proof of stake scheme with hidden amounts. So usually the argument is always proof of stake is less private because basically the validators have to, let the others know what their amounts that they are staking are. But not anymore with Zarknum. So, and this also gives us the opportunity to go full proof of stake. Now, with the hybrid consensus, the block time is 1 minute, and you need 10 confirmations before you can respend your assets. So, roughly 10 minutes before your assets get unlocked. Compare that to Monero, where it's 2 minutes and 10 block confirmations, so roughly 20 minutes. And with Zcash, I believe it's even slightly longer, like 22.5 to 25 minutes on average. So Zano is already a bit faster. But with the proof of stake upgrade, it gets really exciting, because from that moment on forward, we will be able to have 15 to 20 second blocks. That's what our lead dev told us. And we would be able to safely lower the amount of needed confirmations from like 10 to something like 3. So you'd be able to have pretty much like Ethereum blockchain-like speeds, right? But with privacy by default strongly enforced by the protocol level and asset creation on top. So this is really exciting to me, because many of the, for example, Bitcoin maxis, they always say some don't like privacy at all for their own reasons, but there is also a significant amount of Bitcoin maxis. They say, yeah, privacy is super cool, but privacy blockchains are just very slow, which is kind of a bit ironic because Bitcoin is slow as well, right? But it's a common and it's a valid argument, right? Privacy blockchains are slow. Then that's basically a trade-off that you make: privacy in exchange for speed. And with the full proof of stake upgrade of Zano, this is not going to be a trade-off anymore, because you'll have the same speed as Ethereum, for example, but the privacy that, for example, like that Monero has. So I'm really looking forward to this proof of stake upgrade later this year. And especially in combination with the gateway addresses upgrade that we have in a couple months, Zano will be very, very interesting for developers to build on, hopefully, because you'll not have the argument that it's slow anymore. It's super easy to integrate via the gateway addresses. So I really foresee a nice surge in the amount of integrations, but also the amount of developers building on the Zano blockchain in the near future, like later this year. And 2027 should be really, really exciting for Zano for that reason.
So is your move to proof of stake, is it solely because you want to try and get faster block times? That's why you're doing it?
The main reason is security, right? So even with a hybrid blockchain, the weak link is still proof of work. So for that reason, we want to move away from proof of work completely and go with full proof of stake, especially because it's not a privacy trade-off anymore. And of course, a nice addition to it is that we can have less block confirmations necessary and faster block times.
So there's a lot of when Ethereum moved to proof of stake, moved from proof of work to proof of stake, the Bitcoin maxis are out in full force. It's stupid. Proof of work it's the best. It's the most secure. Proof of stake is weak, and blah blah blah. And so you're telling us that the proof of work right now is your weakest point. Why is that? Why do you see that?
Well, it's down to cost of attack. The only thing that matters to us in consensus is cost of attack in the network. So with proof of work, your cost of attack is basically the block reward, because that's what you're paying miners. And so if someone else pays that to miners, we've seen that with Cubic, unfortunately, then they can take over the network. It's not as easy, but that's generally the level. Meanwhile, with proof of stake, the cost of attacking is basically the market cap of the entire network. That's much higher than the block reward. So it's like a various order of magnitude. And even with the hybrid consensus, we get some of the benefit of proof of stake because you need a certain percentage of the market cap, but there's still a huge portion that you can attack, like you can begin to attack with just proof of work power. And so we're moving away from that. And also because we get these benefits of speed. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. Especially because you're no longer, as Quinton said, the main trade-off was that in order to do proof of stake, you'd had to rebuild your amounts, but that's no longer the case. We can do proof of stake on hidden amounts.
Perfect. Okay, so I think it's one of those times where like our industry is so huge, right? There's so many changes, so many things, and it's like I imagine it as like a big heaping pile of coals, right? But in that coal pile are these diamonds, right? Little diamonds everywhere. And vast majority is coal, but there are projects out there that are making the right decisions, the right calls. I like what you guys are saying. I got to be honest. I know I've said this before. Don't mean to be a fangirl over here, but I like this a lot. And so this is really cool, guys. You guys are developing, you're shipping, and like what someone said in the comments earlier, is yes, you're decentralized, but you also like can get things done, right? That's what THORChain is pretty decentralized. But I think something harkening back to what Kenton said earlier is, we've had our times in THORChain where it was a bit of a grind, right, to get anything done because we had competing visions. Okay. But because of the past hurdles, like our permissionless ethos, we lost some people because of that. Like this is on a hill, permissionless, but the fact that we lost some people was not necessarily a bad thing. We now have a super majority of people who now have the same ethos, right? Who are saying, no, like no KYC, permissionless, and we can't bend on this, right? And so the THORChain, despite having a pretty big community, is pretty decentralized. Like it seems, and from what I stand, we have a much easier time finding consensus on issues. Yes, we still have debates, which is always good. There's always this back and forth, but I like seeing that you guys are making progress in the same way that THORChain is, right? You see a problem and you're being proactive about it, right? And that's one thing I always harken on THORChain. Like THORChain, what are the problems? I always look for the weakest link. And for me, and it's not necessarily a weak link, but what is the weakest link? That link can still be strong. I want to increase the decentralization of the network, right? That's because I see it. I'm seeing where this is going, the trajectory in mind. I'm like figuring it out step by step. You integrate something like Zano, you integrate this, you integrate that. The decentralization is the biggest defense of THORChain. And so, maybe that's something cool. I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I'm getting ahead of myself, I should say. But, I would love for teams like Zano to have maybe a node on THORChain too, right? Like you guys have the perfect ethos for that. Like I love this stuff. So I'm really excited, guys, to get this, have this relationship mature and really get our devs talking to each other and just see what happens. I love it, right? Because it's the same thing. We're the same thing. Like the same people, just different blockchains. That's what it is. And I thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I really do. And just great job so far. I'm beyond impressed because like I said, you can't fake it. You can't fake it with me, at least. I'll figure out the fakers. You guys are not fakers. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. I mean, we really enjoy it too so far. So yeah, likewise.
Can you guys can you tell me tell us what is like the main use case for Zano? Like are people using mostly the Zano token right now to transact? Are people using more of these wrapped private assets? You mentioned NFTs. Like what? Yeah, is there like one kind of dominant use case right now that
Uh,
people are using Zano for?
yes, I'd say the dominant use case right now is private stablecoins. So, for example,
Yes.
using Freedom Dollar, as Quinton said, using Freedom Dollar to load your Sebek card, for example. So then you get a MasterCard that's loaded with private crypto, but you don't have to worry about the volatility. So clearly that's the winning use case right now.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
also working on private payroll, right? So there are a number of companies that process payroll in crypto for their for the companies that they work with, and of course, processing payroll in USDT or USDC is not the best. Not the best to use out there. So Freedom Dollar could be a really good solution for payroll as well. That's what they're working on right now, and yeah, it seems to be kicking off. So yeah, curious to see where it's going over the following years. And of course, the sorry, just want to this comes to mind as well. I think the wrapped assets um are super interesting as well, right? So private Bitcoin, private Ethereum, private Solana, like although they're not being used that much yet, once we have a couple of good, decent integrations, once the gateway addresses are live, and for example, hopefully we can work something out with THORChain, and these assets become more accessible and people start to see the value in them, then this could really take off as well. Because you could use like you could have Bitcoin on Zano and enjoy the privacy of the Zano blockchain and also the low fees of the Zano blockchain, so your Bitcoin becomes spendable again and usable again. But another really interesting use case for it is to make your Bitcoin untraceable again, right? So once you bridge it to Zano, it becomes untraceable, of course, and then once you bridge it out or you send it around in pieces and other people bridge this out back to this native Bitcoin blockchain, you can use a freshly created Bitcoin address for this. So the trace stops there. And this is going to be very interesting for Bitcoiners if they find out that there's a solution like this. I think this could be very compelling for them. So I think that would be another very big use case for Zano. And also what I want to comment on it is that Zano burns 100% of the transaction fees. So the more Zano blockchain becomes used, the more Zano gets burned. And potentially at some point in the future, hopefully the usage becomes bigger than the emission from the block rewards, and then the supply of Zano would go deflationary.
You're bringing up a heated topic of debate in the THORChain community, a burn mechanism. So there's people that love it, people that don't. But cool. I like the interesting to see how you guys doing that. So I hope it works out for you. So I just want to add something. You mentioned, Quentin, about basically bringing fungibility to Bitcoin, and that's a 0 to 1. Like that's, if we figure that out, like that's huge. I actually think that would be like, that's a turning point in human history, because we can, if we can add true privacy to our transactions with a major asset like that, it's massive. And that's, for me personally, is one of the things that got me into THORChain, why I'm still here, is I see THORChain playing, it can do it. THORChain can play a role in making that possible. And um, even maxis, Bitcoin maxis, the ones that actually have half a brain, they all agree fungibility on Bitcoin is probably the biggest problem they have to solve. And if we can help them do that, that's got to be huge.
I'm just sitting here and Oh, go ahead, Gonzalo. Are you going to respond to that?
No, it's just that for me, especially the years I had to use crypto for basically everything, I intentionally avoided Bitcoin because of this, because I was scared I will deposit into some service and it will get blacklisted because whatever reason. Because you don't have to do anything wrong in order to get blacklisted. It's just that maybe, I don't know, like you trade on a decentralized exchange and you got the UXO from someone else, and well, there you go, you're now on the list. To me, I was very scared about that. That's why I just stayed at the time Monero. So to me, it's one of the biggest issues on Bitcoin as well. Yes.
Do you guys think? Sorry, John. Follow-up question. Do you think if people are bridging their Bitcoin into is XBTC? Sorry, what is it called on Zano?
BTCX.
BTCX. So they're going from Bitcoin to BTCX, play around, do some stuff, whatever, all legitimate, all honest stuff, and then they go back to regular Bitcoin. Do you think that new Bitcoin, that new trail, that could get blocked? That if they go to send that to a centralized exchange, they want to convert to fiat, but the SEX looks at the history and sees, oh, well, the origin, this history started with BTCX. Oh, we're not going to accept it. We won't touch this Bitcoin because it's been bridged like that. So instead of the SEX blocking Bitcoin based on your name or who you are or whatever, they're going to block it based on your history. Do you think there's any risk of that?
Well, in that
Yes.
case, I would just stay on BTCX and do transactions purely in BTCX inside Zano. In that case, you don't run into that issue. But yes, I mean, this is an issue of the layer one of Bitcoin. If you don't have privacy at the layer one, you'll eventually run into fungibility issues.
That's something we can't solve for these
Yeah.
transparent blockchains, right? This is an issue that sticks with Bitcoin. And once you bridge back to Bitcoin, yes, you could run into these issues thanks to how Bitcoin is designed.
That said, in the
I
case
guess
of
this.
bridgeless, you can, for example, bridge your Bitcoin either to Zano or to Ethereum. I think soon Solana. So there's also that element of composability. So if you want to, blacklist an entire breach, you'll need like a pretty strong reason for it. But if it's composable and it also allows for other use cases, then it becomes harder.
And this is the benefit of FUSD. If somebody actually had that problem, if they really want to get into fiat, they could swap their BTCX for FUSD and then load it to the card and go spend it that way if they wanted.
Yes. Yes, or any private stablecoin on Zano, either bridge or native.
What other private stablecoins are there?
DAI-X. So DAI.
That's right, you mentioned
bridges.
it. Sorry.
Yeah.
And we're also talking with the team of the Euro, which is the decentralized Euro, which is also like cross-chain. And we want to bring it to Zano, and they want to bring it to Zano, so we're working on that as well. So that will be the third privacy stablecoin that lives on Zano, and hopefully more to come.
Yeah, and I've seen on the chat that perhaps THORChain is working on a stablecoin collateralized by Bitcoin. If that's
on the
a
app
thing,
layer.
then I mean,
Yes.
if that's a thing, we can also bring it to Zano. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. So this conversation, Kenton, when it comes to first principles, I just totally focused, and I've been having this feeling in my stomach and my chest. Hopefully, I'm not about to have a heart attack, and I'm healthy right now. But I get this feeling when I have the sense that something super powerful happening, and I think I finally crystallized what that is. Is that you guys? It's relatively simple, but no one's done this. We get kicked in the teeth all the time by other projects that want to come onto THORChain. Why haven't you added this yet? Why haven't you done this? Why hasn't this? It's like, you guys, it's really hard. Like, for example, XMR. We tried to add it in the past. There was something called Black Protocol. It was a fork of THORChain. We had one of the most brilliant developers of ours try to make it happen. We just did not. The tech was not there. And even today, like thinking about integrating the amount of engineering work to make it come onto THORChain is going to be astronomical. And that's dev time that may not go to otherwise things that make THORChain better, like something called DKLS. I don't want to get into that, or faster block time, blah, 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 right? But you guys have done something very important, very powerful, and such a simple thing is that you've made this gateway thing that says, hey, we developed this thing to make it the integration easier for dexes like THORChain. Okay. And that simple thing, I think, is being like underappreciated. That is so powerful for you guys to just do something like to meet us there. Like getting kicked in the teeth again and again by other projects. Like, why didn't you add this? It's like, well, we're not cryptographers. It's really hard. Like, shouldn't the impetus be on you to make proactive measures to get on THORChain, right? And that's exactly what you guys have done, right? You've taken this issue, because I'll be honest, the first time I heard of Zano, and we talked, this is way before this may be our first conversation, we're just getting to know Gonzalo. At first thing in my thoughts, like, okay, like another privacy coin that wants to be on THORChain. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, well, if we're gonna go through all this hard work of adding a privacy chain, like it's got to be Monero first, right? It's just, everyone knows Monero. It's obviously, but you guys do this. You make a gateway thing and it works and it's safe and it's reliable and the chain client is awesome. You guys have just got us 95% of the way. This is how simple this is. It's really so simple. Give DEXs the ability to add privacy because that's what THORChain needs to do. It needs to ensure solvency. That's the hard thing with Monero or most privacy coins. It's like, how do you know assets are coming in and leaving, right? Like that's incredibly difficult and it's a huge attack vector for us. But you guys sound like you might have fixed that. And so in 2 months or 3 months or whatever it is, I am so excited to really see that come live because I think that is just a monumental step forward. And if you guys, let's just be hypothetically, let's say you get on THORChain, I think that's going to incentivize other like people like XMR to build a similar function, or at least it should, in order to get on. Because the DEX connection, that's everything, right? Quentin, you said it yourself. I asked you, how do you buy Zano? And you're like, well, we got these DEXs, but use this one, but it's KYC, so maybe you should use this one. Like, you should just say, use THORChain, swap.thorchain.org, swap.thorchain.org. That's how you buy it.
I
Go
would
get
love
it.
to say that.
That's what this is all about, right? I mean, privacy is cool, but in order for it to be usable, it needs to be accessible.
You need to get into it privately.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's where THORChain could come in.
Kenton, I'm getting excited over here. I don't know how you're getting over there, but I'm starting to sweat. I'm salivating a little bit. I'm getting pumped. It's not the drugs, I promise. This is really exciting, man. And listen,
how
guys,
many cups of coffee you've had?
14. And I'm really excited. I'm very happy, guys. I'm so happy. This just makes my brain. For me, I'm struggling now to think of questions to ask, because this seems just to work. Like I only ask questions when I don't know or understand something. So, you have a similar in structure, I guess, to XMR. I know it was 10 years ago. Don't crucify me on that juxtaposition, but this is great. Kenton, what do you got? Were you saying something?
I want to ask some about smart contracts. Can you do smart contracts on Zano?
Not right now. This is something that would be very complicated to bring to Zano, right? There are privacy coins out there. They just forked smart contracts from Ethereum, for example. That's not the way to do it, right? So if we would want, like, we do clearly see the benefit of having smart contracts on Zano because you could build more sophisticated dApps in particular with that, right? And DeFi. But it would take several years. And Zano, if we're going to be very honest here, Zano does have a very efficient but small dev team. So we have to make smart choices about what we prioritize. And it's definitely like on our list, but realistically, it's not going to happen over the following years. But later on, possibly, yes.
What if we could solve that problem for you? This is an epic question by you, Kenton. Good job. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with THORChain's app layer being developed by Rujira, but this is basically secured assets on THORChain, and then they get access to all these primitives, lending, perps, money markets, everything. So maybe you guys don't have to worry about that. Maybe we just immediately give you all this stuff by just adding Zano natively on THORChain.
I was actually gonna talk about that because there are a lot of stuff that people think that, oh, you need smart contract for this, but actually you don't. Like in the case of Zano, it's confidential assets. We have done it without smart contracts. There are other ways to do it. But also this, I mean, if we have a proper connection with the centralized services, then that means that you can build whatever you want using whatever tech you want in that service and then bring it to Zano and use it on Zano, have the both benefits. Just have it interconnected and have the benefits of both.
It was decentralized, right? Like on THORChain's app layer, it would be decentralized. So you would
Exactly.
have, right.
Exactly. So you don't
boy.
need one chain to do it all. I don't think that's the way the industry would work. Is that you have
course.
specialized chains and you have a pretty damn good connection within them, and that's it.
Kenton, my spidey senses are tingling. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I was just gonna be a wet blanket. So just taking it through. So like app layer on THORChain, that would all be public. So you could have an app playing with the Zano tokens or BTCX or whatever, but that's all public on THORChain. It's only you'd have to like
Redacted.
yeah you'd be pseudonymous basically on THORChain, and as long as you don't dox your address or whatever you're doing on the app layer, once you could settle back into Zano and go back into your privacy protection.
Yeah, but
Um,
yeah, one thing, sorry. But here's the thing. You can build, for example, let's say you want to do something like really complex, like I don't know, like a token that's pegged to a stock, for example. That will be hard to do on Zano because we don't have smart contracts. But you could do it on another platform, for example, the app layer, and then you create a token, have all the mechanisms to peg it and algorithmic, collateral, whatever. And then once you have that token, you bridge it to Zano, and you have that token on Zano. And so you can transact now on that token privately, but all the mechanisms securing it are on the app layer. So you don't need to make the pegging, like the algorithmic mechanism that's securing it. You don't need to make that private. You just need to make the part that interacts with the user. So that is like sending and receiving. That can be done on Zano. So you can combine both that way. That's the way DAI works. DAIX works. Because all the mechanisms that's securing DAI and governing DAI, that's on Ethereum, but the actual transactions are on Zano.
Yeah,
okay,
I have
interesting.
a good example of it as well. I was mentioning the Euro briefly earlier during this interview, and they have basically it's a cross-chain decentralized Euro, and you can borrow and lend it basically via the smart contracts on those EVM blockchains where it lives, right? But they want to make it so that, for example, if the Euro comes to Zano, obviously we don't have those smart contracts capabilities, but you could still do borrowing and lending with the Euro on Zano, but then in the backend, basically the application bridges it to Ethereum and does the borrowing and lending there for you. The argument that you said, which would be pseudonymous. Sorry, I always have a hard time saying that word.
That's a hard one, yeah.
Yeah, and then basically once the borrowing lending the contract finishes, it automatically bridges back to Zano, and then you get what you were promised basically. So the argument that Gonzalo made with that one chain doesn't have to do all is a very valid one. There are ways around it as long as you have very good cross-chain connections in a permissionless and decentralized way. Then we don't need one blockchain that fixes all, basically.
Yeah, and we're all working together to solve the same problem. I love. I'm going to bring it up again. You know what I mean? You do. No need to, I'm sorry, no need to be the jack of all trades, just master one. Privacy is a huge niche, right? And what is THORChain the master of? Cross-chain, right? And also perhaps this app layer that we're developing, allowing people to use these assets that have their own specialization for various primitives, lending, blah, 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 all this stuff. And so when you add all of this together, it just creates a super powerful economic infrastructure that TradFi has no hope of competing with at all, like zero, when it comes to the benefits you get, not only your own safety, because at the end of the day, guys, let's a reminder, KYC is dangerous. People get hurt with KYC. People lose. They get their information exposed by various centralized exchanges and other third parties. It's not a joke, right? There's like not having KYC and permissionless is the end state for the world that's going to lead to the best world for people like Gonzalo and many other individuals. And so when I just put all this together in my mind, everything that we're building, it really seems like we are coming into a full circle now of just first principles, incentive, and power. It's very cool.
Everyone's worried about AI stealing their jobs and stuff like that. I think people are going to be worried about AI stealing their money. Like, all the spam emails, spam phone calls that we all get, like that's all KYC leakage. But whether and a lot of it might even be just our data being sold. So like, once the AI gets a hold of that stuff, and they can run more sophisticated scams or spam, you know, and same with voice. Like that, I'm kind of scared about that. Like, you know, all our voices are here, right? And AI can, you know,
Yes.
somebody can maybe mimic our voice and, you know, start calling in, pretending to be us, whether it's with our family or some bank or whatever. The scams are just going to get more sophisticated, and
Yes.
it's all made possible with our KYC being farmed. And so, you know, in my mind, it's only going to get worse.
Right. That's a good point. Go ahead,
Yep.
Gonzalo.
Privacy is a matter of basic security. If your entire portfolio is just out there in, visible to the entire internet, you're becoming a target.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, like in this
yeah.
example right here, like there's a lot of live streams of me talking. An AI, they're growing in sophistication rapidly. You know, how do I talk? My speech cadence, my tendencies, my nuances, my intonations in my voice, right? These are all things that can be mimicked with high precision. Kenton, that's a great point. You know what I mean? I think no KYC is actually a necessity, right? This is just, I mean, this is obviously correct. No, you know what this reminds me? And I think you were on that space with me, Gonzalo, the last space. We had a very, I'm not going to say who they were, but they had a very leading decentralized institution. We were talking about KYC. Okay. And they were willing to bend the knee on that. They're saying, well, it's kind of, well, I mean, how else are you supposed to exist in the world? I'm like, no, like this should not even be a question. No KYC for anybody. This is something we cannot bend the knee on. We cannot make an exception on this at all, right? That's what it has to be. And this is something I was thinking about the other day, like, what is DeFi, right? I was like, what does that even mean? And I think I'm coming to the realization that DeFi has never existed truthfully. Like, that's decentralized finance up until very recently. Decentralized finance. And that's what THORChain is going. Even with our own interface, we are thinking about decentralizing that, where everything is literally decentralized. We've used this word DeFi for a long time. I think now this is true. True DeFi is happening for real. Everything else is a lie. Up until very recently, it was our attempt to make it. It's a goal, it's an ambition, it's an endpoint. Well, the endpoint is here. It's 2026. I think we can clearly say that THORChain is, and my protocol, that is DeFi. And I don't think we have competitors in terms of ethos. I really don't. I think people call themselves DeFi, but they just do not get it. Or structurally, first principles, the nuts and bolts of their protocol, there is a centralized trade-off or something like that that can be exploited, that's gameable, that's open. What we do at THORChain is so incredibly hard. It is so difficult. But if we get it, which we are getting it, the rewards are absolutely massive. And that's why, maybe we were the first to do cross-chain swaps. And people say that people caught up the Thor thing, but they really haven't, though, because we went through we went through the gates of hell. Like, so many problems we had to solve is so complicated. 700,000 lines of code. It's just been a nightmare to get it right, but we finally figured it out. And so I think from now on, when I say DeFi, I'm just going to make the claim, and I'm speaking for myself, obviously, that there's really only one DeFi. That's THORChain. That's my protocol. That's it. There's nothing else. I think that's because I can't find a community like us that has DeFi that shares all the values except my protocol, which is a fork of THORChain. Right? So let's get Zano added.
Zano, you're not DeFi.
Well, you are privacy, right?
We're Pri-Fi.
Pri-Fi, right? Well, that's what I'm talking about, right? Like, DeFi it's all encompassing. There's a lot of things. You guys are privacy, right? Like that's extremely important. But decentralized finance, so yes, you are in that way. But we're talking about, like, you take an asset and it's fungible and you can do whatever you want with it, like in the traditional finance sense. Like, we're getting to that point. That's what I'm talking about. So THORChain's DeFi, but it's DeFi because we have Zano, or we have this, or we have that, right? Like, without the app layer, we're a cross-chain AMM. That's all we are, right? Like, this is everything it's coalescing into one structure, into one infrastructure. Super cool. Super cool. I'm maybe I'm a little bit pie in the sky, but that's just how my brain is. I hope I'm not overbearing, but
this is the right place to be.
Right.
So guys, we're got into this coming up on 2 hours. Is there anything else you want to go over? Anything else you want to touch on that we haven't?
What do you say, Gonzalo? Is there anything we should discuss here that we haven't discussed?
No. Yeah, I mean the biggest things are gateway addresses and the upcoming proof of stake consensus. So Zano will be fast, private, and actually usable. You will actually be able to buy it, hopefully. So to me, I mean, yeah, 2027 looks amazing. I'm really
And so,
glad we are getting to this point. Yeah.
and sorry, when did you say gateway addresses? When's that update going through?
Early May.
Early May. And then do you vision, you want to have like a few months of stability? Like, is this going to be is this kind of update, could it pose some problems where you might need to do some patches, fix some bugs? Or no, it should work right
It's
away.
it's on testnet right now, so it's been hammered. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually documentation was just published this weekend, and I'm releasing like a big article on gateway addresses also this week. So yeah, there will be more info drops coming on that matter, and steadily building towards the exciting hard fork 6, where the gateway addresses come to mainnet. And I think it would be great if we can set up a group on Telegram or Signal or whatever you guys prefer to use and stay in touch. And we'd be happy to keep you guys up to date about how things are going. And once it's live, then, hopefully make it happen.
Let me, I'll reach out to Star Squid, and he's kind of the guy leading the charge on adding chains, and see if I can put you guys in touch. And yeah, and like I said, if something doesn't fall through, if it falls through with me or him, don't take no for an answer. Stay persistent, you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this has
Will.
been I love
Yeah.
it. This has been such a great live stream. And, it's not often that I run out of questions. It really isn't Kenton and usually myself. But when the narrative carries itself, it's obvious, right? There's not much to ask. I mean, the same community. So with that being said, what do you think, guys? You think it's about time to wrap it up?
I think
Sure.
so.
Oh,
Yes. It's
okay.
been a great talk, and maybe we can do another one once we have the gateway addresses live, and then we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'll be on X Spaces, I'm sure, with Gonzalo or anyone else who uses the Zano account. Do you use that Zano account, Quentin, by chance, when you're on X Spaces, or no?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, then I'm sure we'll be able to keep tabs in that way as well. And yeah, to what Kenton's point, absolutely. We want to make sure that we retouch on this, because this has been a very powerful conversation. I've really enjoyed having you guys. You guys are fantastic. And I think there's a human element to you. Like Gonzalo, I'm so glad that Kenton asked you about your own personal story, because that really drives it home, like why you're in this space. It's, you know what I mean? That there's not value extraction. Like, you're trying to have a better life, and ultimately, if you have kids or family, make their lives better, and the world's better. So great job, guys. Excellent job. Excellent communication. Great job with the questions. I can't thank you enough. Okay, let's wrap it up, you guys. So, guys, please go to Zano's. Oh, actually, before we do, let me share my screen here. I meant to do that. I just got so distracted just talking to you guys, because it's been such a great thing. So, intro.zano.org, you guys definitely go check them out. And then the link in the description of this video as well. There's going to be resources to check out Zano as well. Follow them on X, everywhere. These guys are freaking awesome. I can't say, but guys, let's wrap this up here. So, we always, at the end of these live streams, if you'd like to become a node operator on THORChain, guys, please reach out to Runetard on X on THORChain. He can help you get started. And guys, for THORChain data insights and an update on this live stream, follow at Ray Analytics on X. He does all these written recaps for free, and they're really helpful. The TLDR, people are really busy. They don't have time to listen to a full, 90-minute live stream. These are super, super helpful. And guys, always remember the views expressed are solely those of the hosts and guests. Any action taken based on this information is at your own risk. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Next Saturday, guys, we're going to have a team called Peer. They're a non-KYC fiat on and off ramp. So keep an eye out for that. And then we're also, the next week, we're going to be talking to Matthew Carano, I hope I said his name, editor of Brave, the New World, Liberty, and Technology. That should be a really fun conversation. And with that being said, you guys, we hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you again to the Zano team. This has been such an awesome conversation. I absolutely love it. Hope everyone has a great day. Take care, everybody. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.